Hey guys, it's David here. Today I want to talk to you about my two favorite worm-shaped foods for feeding freshwater fish. I'm going to compare and contrast the two. And for such a dry subject, pun intended, I actually have quite a bit to say. So come on, let's go. So let's start with the size. As you can see here, the Xtreme Wrigglers on top and the VIBRA Bites on bottom. The Xtreme Wrigglers are definitely bigger and thicker. They're soft enough that they crush easily between your fingers and they turn into a fine powder. The VIBRA Bites are very difficult to squeeze. They almost feel like a pebble or a tiny rock. They stay intact with far less powder. So I decided to do a 1-hour soak test to see how each food compared in water. So I added 1 teaspoon. Yes, it's a teaspoon. Sorry, I had to think about it for a second there. Don't ask me what that is in the metric system because honestly, I couldn't tell you. And next I added roughly 2 cups of water to each. And I'm just going to speed it up for brevity purposes. But you're already going to notice a difference right away when you take a look at the two. The Xtreme Wrigglers are floating at the top, whereas basically every single VIBRA Bite sinks straight to the bottom. And this is exactly 1 hour later. The Xtreme Wrigglers water is very noticeably cloudy when I pour it into the cup. And I also noticed that they tend to clump together, as you can see here on the bottom of the cup. And the water is basically a cloudy mess, but we still have some floating on top. And next we're going to do the exact same thing with the VIBRA Bites. Let's give it a quick swirl, drop it into the cup. And one thing that I noticed right away is that the water in the cup is significantly clearer. The pieces don't stick together quite as much. And oddly enough, after 1 hour, more pieces are on the top. I let the two sit for approximately 5 minutes, and there's a huge difference between the two. The Wrigglers have definitely broken down significantly, especially in comparison to the VIBRA Bites, where they're pretty much still intact. So you're probably asking yourself, what does this all mean? Just get to the point already, David. Okay. Here I am feeding some of the Wrigglers to the tank that has my dwarf red-tailed eels, along with quite a few community fish and some Geophagus tapajos. So one thing that I've noticed is that I'd been feeding my dwarf red-tailed eels the VIBRA Bites for a very long time. And although they eat them, they tend to be a lot more timid with them. And I've found that that is not exactly the case with the Xtreme Wrigglers, as you're about to see. I had 2 much smaller dwarf red-tailed eels, and I thought that they would like the VIBRA Bites better because they were so much smaller. But that's simply not the case. These guys woof these Wrigglers down like they're going out of style. Although if a fish takes one, they'll generally take the other, but some fish absolutely have a preference. And I found that overall, the slight edge definitely goes to Xtreme Wrigglers. So if you ask me which was my favorite of the two, at this point, I would have to say the Wrigglers. In my experience, more fish eat them, more fish like them. And being that this isn't the first time they've eaten this morning, look at how they're going. They're just going to town on these bad boys. Although the Wrigglers disintegrate faster, it's not going to matter. Now don't get me wrong, I still love VIBRA Bites. I feed them every single day, and as you're about to see, it's not a hard sell, as these pinstripe dambas go to town on them. Both are an excellent alternative to feeding bloodworms, and I do occasionally feed them to fish that I would never give bloodworms to. I like to switch them up, and I will continue to feed both, but in my honest opinion, the Xtreme Wrigglers have the edge. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found something useful. Until next time.